The Conservative MP, Andrew Bridgen, how do you expect things to pan out today?
Well, I spoke in the debate yesterday. We finished at 2 o'clock this morning, and a large number of Conservative MPs have indicated they're definitely going to vote against the withdrawal agreement this evening, and I will be amongst them. I think it will be a very large defeat for the Prime Minister and the government.
And what do you think happens then?
Well, I think the larger the defeat, the more the mandate it gives the Prime Minister to go back to the European Union and say that the withdrawal agreement is never going to get through this Parliament and it needs fundamental reform. And it's not just the backstop. Why are we paying over £39 billion to talk about a future relationship? That gives away all our leverage, gives the EU a huge advantage in the future relationship negotiations yet to come.
I mean, some people might say we're doing that because that's what a Conservative-led government, of which you are a supporter because you're elected as a Conservative MP, has managed to negotiate, and therefore your job as a Tory MP should be to support your government.
Well, my conscience is clean. As soon as the Chequers proposals came out and we moved away from going for a Canada free trade style agreement, I made it clear that the Chequers proposals were unacceptable to me. They were not the Brexit that we'd promised to deliver the British people, and it wasn't the best economic or democratic outcome for our country. Those Chequers proposals have been further watered down through negotiation, and now we end up with a withdrawal agreement which we all know is not going to pass through the House of Commons.
Now, what you just said is you want to get the government negotiating again. So does that mean you'd like to delay the Brexit date of March the 29th?
No, the Prime Minister's been very clear. We're leaving on the 29th of March. I think the only way now to deliver on the mandate we were given in Parliament by the British people to leave is to leave on WTO and immediately offer the EU talks on a free trade agreement. Under WTO rules, we can then have 10 years of tariff and quota-free trade with the European Union while we negotiate that free trade agreement, and I would be willing to pay over some of the so-called divorce bill to sweeten the deal for the EU so we have no disruption on our borders.
And, I mean, Mrs May, you've wanted to get rid of her for a long time. I mean, she couldn't possibly survive that, could she?
The Prime Minister
lost tonight and then negotiating something that she...
Some colleagues are suggesting if there's a heavy defeat tonight, the Prime Minister might resign. I don't detect that being in the Prime Minister's character, and I'm not sure that's the best thing for the country at the moment. What I wanted to do is to reflect on the will of Parliament. She may have been bullied into accepting the withdrawal agreement by the European Union, but Parliament's not going to be bullied into accepting this very, very bad deal.
I mean, why do you think Edward Lee is wrong? I mean, he, like you, has been a long-term Brexiteer, but he says, look, this is the high water mark. This is your best chance of getting some sort of Brexit. You should back it, because otherwise you know, it might be taken away from you altogether, and that's what Mrs.
Well,
May
that's been a
says
tactic used by the EU for decades, where they've made us
made
us try and vote for something that's very bad for fear of something worse, and that's a slippery slope. At the end of the day, Adam, this deal does not deliver the Brexit we promised the British people. It's not taking back control of our money, our borders and our laws.
I understand that, but all I'm saying is you're passionate about Brexit.
Yes.
This deal goes through, Brexit will happen. And if it doesn't go through,
but it's Brexit
it might be that Parliament takes things in a completely different direction and Brexit never happens. That's what he fears. That's what he just told me he fears.
Well, that would lead to a constitutional crisis, because we've got a mandate from the people. By a majority of 6-1, Parliament voted to give the British people the choice of whether we stay in or leave the European Union. The people have voted to leave. It's now time for elected members of Parliament to look in the mirror, look at their conscience and deliver on that mandate. We need to leave the European Union.
But it is a gamble, though, isn't it? Because if this deal goes down, Parliament could take a different view. The majority in Parliament could take a different view.
I think that would really damage our democracy and the standing of politicians with the public. If it could get any lower, I mean, it will be on the floor.
I mean, other people would say it was MPs doing their job.
Well, when we give the people the choice, they had the referendum, they decided, it's our duty to deliver on that. The problem is, Adam, there's a huge swathe of MPs who campaigned for Remain, said they accepted the result of the referendum. They never did, and what we're seeing now is the result of that.
OK, Andrew Bridgen, thank you very much indeed.